This is exactly step-by-step how I would build a clothing brand if I had to start over. And now for context, I built my own clothing brand over $7 million in sales called Euphoric.777. And the only reason why I was able to do numbers like these is because I learned from all my mistakes and took advantage of failing fast. I've also helped tons of people get to 10,000 plus a month with their own clothing brands and helped a lot of people also start their clothing brand without having any past knowledge at all. So I guess you could say I know a thing or two about the clothing brand game. And if I can go back in time, these are the exact things I would do to get to this point again and maybe even past this point by now. Now, the first step of coming up with your clothing brand is finding out the name and meaning that you want for your brand. Now, when I first did my clothing brand, things like AI, ChatGPT, and all of that were not popular. So what I would do is spend more time using AI and those softwares in order to get a big list of meanings and names that I can use for my clothing brand. The only source I had when I first came up with mine was basically just looking through a dictionary and finding things that kind of related to the meaning, and I ended up coming up with Euphoric, which I honestly did not like at first, but the brand had took off and I was kind of stuck with it, but it's now grew on to me at this point. Another major key thing that I would do differently is by reaching out to a lot of my friends, families, and even strangers and getting more opinions on my brand before launching it. Now, my first designs did end up selling pretty good, but that's because I got a lot of opinions from people. I think I could have took it a step further and even evaluated my brand to a higher level if I got more opinions and had even better designs and even more success starting out as well. Now, the next thing I would do is focus more on creating content and being a true content creator for my brand. When I first started my brand, my only focus was on making the best designs, having the best product, having the best website and best ads. But none of that matters if your content is garbage. So I would spend more time learning apps like CapCut, studying that on YouTube, learning how to talk to a camera, learning how to pull people's emotions and get them to want to watch my video all the way with a strong hook, instead of just solely focusing on making a good product. Because yes, that is important, but it doesn't matter how good your product is if you can't get anybody to tune in and actually watch your videos. And it may not seem like it right now, or you might be able to notice it, but I'm not really that strong with talking to a camera or making content still to this point. And I honestly believe if I was, my brand could be at $20 million plus in sales right now. So yes, going back in time, I would greatly focus more on just being true to myself and learning how to talk to a camera and not be fake on camera, how to be more authentic on camera, and how to really build up a strong community around my brand. Also, not only does that help with you just marketing it yourself when you're recording at home, but you also know what to look for in influencers if you already know what good content looks like. If you know that if you do these 3 steps in a video, you have a hook like this in your videos that really gets a lot of views, and you see an influencer reaching out to you and they're not doing those key aspects that you already know works well for your brand, you know not to respond back to them or not to work with them because you already know what good content looks like. Now, if you're somebody who's just starting from scratch, you're gonna send your clothes out to just people just because they may get a couple views and they're not even cooperative with your brand and not even giving you the right type of audience that you want. Now, let's talk about manufacturers, because this probably gave me the most trouble when I was first starting out. I cannot find a good manufacturer to save my life. Now, I did find a decent one for my t-shirts, but my t-shirts were super long when they first came out. They kind of fit like dresses. They were like some t-shirts you'll see in the 90s or something. I honestly was not a big fan of them, but I got them for an amazing price, and we just told the customers they fit extra oversized, so you probably have to size down on it. This was okay because that was our first drop ever, and it's best to just fail fast, get your loss out the way, and just build on there instead of just waiting and trying to get everything completely perfect. But now you can learn from my mistakes instead of having to waste time doing it on your own. So the first thing I would do is when you get your samples from your manufacturers, it's okay to have them reduce the length and measure it out yourself. Measure everything out yourself and don't just go off the manufacturer's measurements. Now, my process when I get a sample in from a new manufacturer, even from my current manufacturer, when I'm trying to change up the measurements of my garment, I take a tape measure and I will measure each little sleeve length. I'll measure the total length of the body. I'll measure the neck, collar, everything, bro, just to get it exactly perfect how I want it to be. So overall, it takes me about 2 or 3 samples just to get it exactly how I want it. But once you get it right, then they can continue building off that already made sample that you have perfect. And another thing is, don't be afraid to move on from your manufacturer. I lost a ton of money by just sticking with a bad manufacturer just because they were giving me decent prices. When I took the time out to actually search for a better manufacturer, I found someone who gave me greater quality at a greater price, which was the complete turning point for my brand, because that allowed me to drop my Mental Health Matters hoodies, which I've done multiple millions of dollars of sales since their release. While on the topic of manufacturers, let's talk about my 2 favorite hacks that I love to do with my manufacturer. The first thing is when I'm talking with a brand new manufacturer, you never spoke with them before, always have your quote be for a super high number of pieces, just so you can see what their exact bottom line price is. Because if I say, okay, I'm gonna only order 50 pieces, they're gonna give me a crazy high price and I won't really be able to tell what their bottom is. But if I say, yeah, I plan on ordering 1,000 pieces just to kind of see where their numbers are, then I can start negotiating for, let's say, 50 or 100 pieces instead, and kind of go off that bottom number that they gave me from those 1,000 pieces, because now I have a number to kind of work off of instead of just working completely from scratch in my head. And now probably my favorite hack is to get a sample from China and send that sample over to Pakistan and get it made the exact same way for like half the price. So let's say, boom, I get a 100% cotton t-shirt made in China, perfect measurements, perfect quality, and I get that same t-shirt made in Pakistan. And you know how Pakistan is sometimes. The sleeves may be all extra small. It may have a little rough feel to it. It might not just be exactly how you want it to be. But what Pakistan does good is that they can replicate a garment almost perfectly if you give them the exact garment in hand, or you send them over the exact size chart and materials of that garment. And you got to also measure the print and all that as well, just so they can have all the information they need to make that garment perfectly. And now it's gotten to the point where my Pakistan manufacturer can make garments better than my China manufacturer. There are certain complex garments that have to get made in China or in a different country that Pakistan generally can't make. Usually that includes anything dealing with like the applique embroidery or anything dealing with, you know, high quality denim items. I would generally get that made somewhere else besides Pakistan. But when it's just, you know, a basic screen print garment or a basic hoodie, you can definitely get that made in Pakistan. And there's no reason to be paying $30 for a screen print or DTG item in China. Trust me, I know, because I started my clothing brand with only $200. Now let's talk about getting that website made for your clothing brand. My biggest mistake when getting my website made was that I rushed everything, did everything last second, because I thought it was a simple process, don't get me wrong, but because I didn't know what I was doing at all, it was not easy and my website was terrible. The main thing I would do differently with my website is, of course, take more time and put more effort into having high quality product images. My product images were trash, the lighting was terrible, and they were uneven sizes. So one of my product images would be huge, the other one would be small, and you want your complete site layout to be just universal. Everything should be the same exact size, and it should only be product images if that's what you want to have the first image be on your site, or only model images if you want that to be what's displayed on your site at front for the thumbnail of the product. One of my biggest pet peeves when looking at new clothing brands is sometimes they have the product image being shown, and sometimes they have somebody wearing it, or sometimes they'll have it hanging up on a hanger, all on the website just for different thumbnail images of the product, when it should all just be one thing to have a clean, universal look on that website. Look at designer brands, you look at these bigger brands, they all either just have product images being shown at first, or they just have model images being shown at first. They're not mixing everything up all crazy. Another thing is I will not go as complex with my site. I was trying too hard to make my site look super duper professional, put in all this extra enter pages and all of that, and just trying to make it do too much. When in reality, all I needed was a simple one-page website with my logo, brand colors, have some social proof on there, have a little header with people wearing your brand, you know, have all your policies that you need, your shipping policies, terms of service, refunds, anything that somebody can question about your brand should be answered. Let's talk about the product description. You should be able to know the exact size to order, how long it's gonna take, the quality of the item, and the unique characteristics of it as well if I'm a customer trying to purchase from your brand. I should have no questions left in my head when I click that buy now button on your website. Because I'm telling you, people will find any reason not to buy from a new brand. You're at a complete disadvantage, so don't make it harder for yourself by not being fully transparent and fully descriptive with the garment that you're trying to sell. And the crazy part is you do not even have to pay to get high quality product images. You can honestly take them off your phone and just use good lighting, have a good aesthetic background, or you can even take the picture, use this app that I like called Photo Room, and it'll just automatically put it on a transparent or white background, whichever you prefer, automatically as a clickable button. I've never learned how to use Photoshop. To me, it just took way too long, and I'd rather just have paid somebody to do it for me instead. And to build on this topic, let's talk about the importance of photo shoots for your clothing brand, which I kind of feel like is going out of style. It's kind of a lost art right now, you know, doing professional photo shoots. But for me personally, I still have a lot of success and still enjoy doing photo shoots for my clothing brand. To me, I feel like professional photo shoots are perfect for your website, showing all the close-up details of the product and just giving that nice professional feel when somebody clicks on your page. But we're talking, social media, Instagram. I feel like it's better to have a more natural aesthetic, the little iPhone pictures, little fit pic, something that you will post on your personal Instagram is what I will post on my brand page, Instagram as well, just to have that more personal community feel with it. When doing your photo shoots, you don't have to get a studio or anything like that. I prefer to do all my photo shoots just outdoors in natural settings because I feel like that's where people can truly envision themselves wearing the clothes. Let's say you're making some shorts or some cutoffs or something. You go to a beach, do a photo shoot. That's most likely where somebody's going to be wearing it, or, out at a park. Something similar to that, rather than doing it in a white studio background. People are not going to be wearing your clothes there, so they can't truly envision themselves wearing that outfit when they click on your social media page or on your website. And as far as models go, I would not pay for any models, honestly. You can either model it yourself if you're not photogenic, find a friend who's photogenic, or find just somebody on Instagram who's in your area and let them know that you're trying to do a photo shoot for your clothing brand. And most likely they'll do it for free just to build up their own portfolio as well and get more into modeling for other brands and for a better paid opportunity in the future. Because the more you help them out, the more they're going to help you out as well. And it's just a mutual understanding between the two because they're getting a lot of stuff added into their portfolio. They're learning more about how to take better pictures themselves. And you're also getting the content that you need for your clothing brand. So that's another thing I would spend more time doing when I first started my clothing brand, just finding a lot of mutual relationships and spending more time networking instead of just trying to do everything by myself and just with my close team as well. I would reach out more to strangers and people who could really help take my brand to that next level by being good at things that I'm not particularly good at myself. Now let's talk about the part that everybody loves, and that's marketing. And I honestly believe I'm probably one of the best marketers in the clothing brand game. And that's because I run all my own ads. I use no agency, and I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in ads profitably for my brand and turned that into millions of dollars in sales. But it's not all sunshine and glamour. I've made tons of mistakes in my marketing journey. It's been days where I've been just losing hundreds of dollars a day for a whole week straight, just messing up on my ads, losing tens of thousands of dollars per month just by making terrible ads with my clothing brand. So I'm gonna let y'all know some of the things not to do that I did with mine. The biggest mistake that I made when trying to scale my clothing brand with ads is by not taking enough time researching and studying what's working for other brands and applying that to my own. I kept just trying to do everything from scratch, trying to always do everything just completely new and authentic and unique. When the thing is, you can still be unique while taking inspiration from other people, and people won't even know that you took inspiration from somebody else if you do it the right way. Because the thing is, when making ads, it's all a game about hitting at a high success rate. Not every ad you make is gonna be a winning ad. We probably have one winning ad out of every 10 to 15 that we test. But it only takes one winning ad to scale your brand from $100K a month to $200K a month, or even from $0 to $10,000 per month. So I would take a lot more time researching ads themselves and creatives instead of just focusing on the different techniques and strategies, because that never really matters. You can just run everything broad, no targeting, and just one campaign at CBO on Facebook ads, and you can scale completely doing that without putting in all that effort trying to find the best interest, trying to serve scale. None of that is needed when running Facebook ads. Because the biggest mistake I see a lot of my students and beginners make is that they spend all this time on the best strategy when the ads that they're putting into the campaign are terrible. You're taking these blurry pictures on a dirty carpet and wondering why you're not getting sales, even though you're using all the best strategies that all the top brands use. And that's why, because your creative is garbage. The thing is, you need to spend more time on your creative instead of just the strategy, because your creative is going to be 90% of your results. You can have the worst setup in history, but if you have a strong creative that's a clear visual or a video with a strong hook to get the reader's attention, then you're going to have a good ad no matter what. Now we spend a lot of time making images or videos for our brand. We put about 70% of our time just figuring out a strong hook to use to really grab their attention. And we spend the rest of that time just finding out unique characteristics that we can include throughout the video and a strong call to action at the end to get them to click on our website and shop now. And you're going to see a lot of people out here telling you that ads are bad and you shouldn't run ads for your brand because it kills your brand image. That's false. Some of the biggest brands in the world are running ads. Look at Skims, look at Yeezy, look at Gymshark. Everybody's running ads, bro. Trust me, you're gonna get left behind. If you're not running ads for your brand, you're gonna make it a lot harder for yourself. But I do agree that you should not run ads when you're first starting your clothing brand. Let's go back to the first step that I mentioned, and that's with just learning how to be a good content creator. That should be your first step. Learning how to make good videos learning how to take clear photos so you're not just throwing garbage in the ads manager and burning money. Once you figure out how to make good content and source good content from other people, then you can start focusing on ads. And you might be wondering, how do I know if I'm making good content? Trust me, you'll know because your brand is gonna start getting organic sales every single day. And that's when you should start focusing more on putting those high performing creatives into ads. Now let's go through the full drop process and everything I would do to get my first 100 orders for my clothing brand when I started from scratch, and also the mistakes I made during my first ever release for my clothing brand. The biggest mistake I made for my first ever clothing brand release was not spending enough time gathering people's information before the release. I did not spend enough time gathering SMS or emails from my customers. I just dropped out of nowhere and just posted it on Instagram and TikTok and hoped for the best. Surprisingly, it worked out pretty well as we did do $5,000 our first week. But I'm just knowing if I put more effort into that, I could have easily did around $20,000 on my first drop with my clothing brand. Yes, it makes that big of a difference. The best way to do this when first starting out is to just have your site closed and have the email and SMS sign up boxes on your website. And when you're posting your marketing videos, your pre-release videos on TikTok and Instagram, direct all that traffic to that sign up page on your website. Especially when people DM you, you should be able to send them a link straight to the DMs, let them know, sign up, and have an offer when they sign up as well. That could either be early access, a discount, let them know that they need the discount or early access in order to guarantee theirs, and just make it really seem like if they're not on that early access list, they won't be able to get that item, and really induce that scarcity into your brand when first starting out. Another big mistake I made when doing my first ever release is that I didn't continue marketing strongly after the release happened. After like the first week of the release, I kind of fell off on my marketing and got a little lazy with it, and didn't post as consistently as I did pre-release in around the first 1 or 2 days of the release. So I would continue with that by having more influencers wearing my clothing brand, and also just posting more organic content, letting them know that stock is running low on that release. And you can also send up a last chance email and SMS message as well. Speaking of email and SMS, make sure you have your flows set up, because these are going to be simple automations that are going to get you sales overnight without you putting in any additional work after it's set up. Now, you know, once your brand gets to a huge point where you're doing 6 figures plus a month, you will have to optimize your flows here and there just to make sure you're always testing and getting the best results possible. But when you're first starting out, you can honestly just set up the basic flows, make them look cool. You can pay somebody to do it or watch a couple YouTube videos on it as well, and just have some good flows so that when people abandon cart or people abandon your website or don't buy exactly when you want them to, they can continue to get marketed to automatically instead of them just having a chance to be marketed to when you post on TikTok or Instagram. Currently at this stage of our brand, we do about 30% of our revenue just from our email and SMS flows alone. So trust me, they're very important because we definitely need that additional revenue to continue scaling our brand to new heights. Also, during the pre-release process, what I would do differently is drop a little bit later. I feel like we dropped a little bit earlier than I would like to now because we didn't get around 1,000 people on our SMS list, which I would like to have before I do any new release. Let's say you get 1,000 people on your SMS list, you can expect about 5 to 10% of those people to probably convert. So you should be able to get around 50 to 100 orders just from your SMS list alone, not counting the additional marketing that you're going to be doing or the people that buy that weren't even on your SMS list. Now let's talk about the most underrated and non-talked about part of the clothing brand drop process, and that's the post drop. That's after you close your site down and everything. Make sure you're constantly sending email reminders to your customers and posting updates on social media. That was one of my biggest mistakes I made, was not sending constant email and social media reminders. I will post them here and there, but you honestly should be updating people every single day if they're waiting on their order. A lot of people do not mind waiting on an order, especially if you have it highlighted on your website, which you should have, and you're being very transparent about it. But what people don't like is not getting any updates and feeling like they just got ghosted after they gave you their hard-earned money. So definitely make sure you lock in on customer service, because it's going to be a lot cheaper to get that returning customer to come back and purchase again than always having to get new people to buy from your brand every single drop you're doing. And also, negative word spreads a lot quicker than positive word. You can be doing a lot of great stuff with your clothing brand, but if people know that you have a bad shipping experience or a bad product, then that word is going to outspread all the other good stuff that you're doing. So make sure you're trying your best to really prioritize the customer, because they are the backbone of your business. And of course, once you close the site down, you put in all the sizes and orders that you got. to your manufacturer and get that process started on ASAP. Make sure your manufacturer is always posting updates and giving you updates as well. And make sure they're posting images and sending them to you so you know that your product is being made exactly how the sample was made too. And also make sure you keep that momentum flowing with your clothing brand. After that first drop, let's say you have a good drop, make sure you have your next drop planned out and you're ready to keep it going. Don't just sit on that one drop for a whole year. Make sure you're constantly evolving with your clothing brand. And if you have a bad drop, don't have your head down too long. Just pick it back up and be ready for the next set of designs and just continue optimizing off of that. I had tons of bad and good drops in my clothing brand, and the thing that got me to millions of dollars in sales at only 21 years old was by never giving up and always testing out new designs, new processes, and optimizing on things that were currently working and just building on top of that with my customers. And that is literally the step-by-step process on how to scale your clothing brand to multi-6 or even 7 figures in sales. Trust me, it's a lot easier said than done building your clothing brand up alone. I did it and it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. If I can go back in time, the number one thing I would do is invest in a mentor who's already gotten to the points that I wanted to get to. So if you want me and my team to help you build your brand to multi-7 figures like we done with our own brand, Euphoric.777, click that first link in the description and we're gonna help you turn that bedroom brand into a real legitimate business by having 24/7 access to me and my 7-figure team. We'll also be doing weekly group calls, reviewing your ads, and any other help you may need is all included in the first link in the description. Don't miss out on this opportunity because spots are filling up quick and you don't want to be left out. People are making tons of money every single day in our community and we would love to have you there. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.